Welcome back to the official sugar detox series. This is part 4. Last time we talked all about carbohydrates and fats and which ones are best and how you can use them to stop your sugar cravings for good. So if you missed that video, make sure you check it out. I'll have the full sugar detox playlist linked down description below. But this time we're diving into how stress, exercise, and sleep all work together in either promoting sugar addiction or suppressing it, as well as the tools on how you can actually hack your physiology to naturally stop your sugar cravings. Let's dive into it. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance. Now, the one main factor that ties each of these 3 main categories together is our stress hormone cortisol. Too little sleep, too much stress, too much exercise, or even too little exercise can all cause elevated cortisol levels, which causes our body to be in this state of fight or flight and triggers sugar cravings. Our stress hormone cortisol causes these sugar cravings because it's looking for a fast source of energy to get us out of a dangerous situation or to use it for an immediate exercise source. Or in some circumstances, it's even used to help bring blood sugar up if it sees that there's low blood sugar levels. So whenever that cortisol level is high, it can drive us to crave sugar. And then that sugar craving and addiction gets further reinforced because when we eat the sugar, it causes a release of dopamine, that feel-good hormone. So that behavior is further reinforced. So there are different reasons why cortisol levels are going to be high. One is probably the most obvious, and it's emotional stress. There was one really interesting study done on students to show that when they were under periods of short-term stress, like studying for an exam or actually taking the exam, their cortisol levels were 9 times higher than during a state of not stress or zero stress. So emotions of fight or flight, anxiety, stress, worry can all cause cortisol to go up. So then there's physical stress, which can be caused by overtraining. You see this more commonly with endurance athletes or even just the casual endurance athlete, like if you're training for a half marathon, a marathon, or a longer race. In fact, there was a study done on endurance runners and found that they tended to have higher cortisol levels. But even doing way too much strength training, way too much HIIT training, and not having the proper balance and rest and recovery can also cause those same overtraining symptoms that cause cortisol levels to go up. Exercise in itself does cause a short-term rise in cortisol levels, and that's not necessarily a problem. You do want that to go up when you're exercising because it does provide a fast source of energy for you, but it's when you're in that state of overtraining and you don't have enough rest and repair to recover that those cortisol levels stay chronically high. Signs of overtraining can be fatigue, really bad muscle soreness, not seeing muscle mass increases, or even seeing muscle losses. And then this can lead to a sugar fix for a fast source of energy to fuel that workout. Now, although sedentary activity or not exercising doesn't actually cause an immediate increase in cortisol levels, something really interesting does happen when you aren't exercising very much. And that's that your perceived level of emotional stress goes up. One study found that those who were more physically active versus those who were sedentary actually had a better ability to handle emotional stressors. And as we know, emotional stressors raises cortisol. So if you're less active, if you're sedentary, you might not be able to better handle emotional stressors that would then cause cortisol levels to go up. Now, the third main cause of high cortisol levels is poor sleep. Literally immediately the next day after one night of poor sleep, cortisol levels really go up. And this is not just from too little. Like if you normally get 8 hours and you only got 4 hours, obviously that's a problem. But also the quality really matters. So even if you got 8 full hours of sleep, but you're tossing and turning all night, or you're always in that light sleep, not in that deep restorative sleep, this can also cause next day cortisol issues. And sleep, exercise, and stress all remarkably tie together. If you get too little or too much exercise, then sleep tends to suffer. If sleep suffers, then you tend to be less emotionally able to handle stress the next day. And if you get poor sleep, you're probably going to skip a workout or maybe push through a workout when you shouldn't have, which then just fuels that overtraining or undertraining cycle. These all need to be in balance so that we can really help to address the sugar addiction and nip it in the bud. So here are the tools for emotional stress. One amazing one that's actually been found in studies to lower cortisol levels is walking outside. If you guys have been watching my channel for even like 5 seconds, you know I'm a huge fan of walking, and especially if you have some type of natural environment around you, whether it be a park, a garden, a beach, a lake, whatever, walking in those areas, even for just 10-15 minutes, has been found to significantly reduce cortisol levels. Next tool is having a regular balanced exercise routine, which we'll get into that in a second, but having regular exercise has also been found to improve mental health. A third tool is deep belly breaths. So breathing deeply into your belly, not through your chest, but actually pushing down on your diaphragm helps to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of that fight or flight mode. Even just doing 5 to 10 deep belly breaths for about 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out can significantly help to lower your stress levels in that moment. And the fourth tool for emotional stress is actually prioritizing sleep quality. Because that poor sleep causes increased cortisol levels right from the get-go, we want to make sure that we're not starting off in a stress state. Now we enter the tools for physical stress. And the first main one is having a well-balanced exercise routine. This helps to address both the overtraining and the under training issues. And this is going to look a little different for each person, but what I usually recommend is first starting off with a base of walking. It's a fairly simple activity that most people are able to go out and do to some degree. And if you're able to take that walk outside, it also helps to address the emotional stress factor. I personally aim for about 12 to 15,000 steps per day because that's what I've found I feel best with. But a good place to start is to look at what your baseline level of walking is and add an extra 2,000 steps per day from there. But walking is really just the first step. You also want to make sure you're addressing resistance training and making sure that it's well balanced so you get proper recovery. So there's a couple different ways to go about this. You could either focus on total body resistance training. If that's the case, you want to make sure that you're having alternate days and only 3 days per week. So this would be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That way you get rest and repair in between each workout and you're not overworking any muscle group. Now the way I personally like to do it is splitting it up into body parts. And when you do it this way, you can spread the workouts over 5 or 6 days. So this would be about 20 to 30 minutes per day of like upper body on Monday, Tuesday lower body, Wednesday core, and then you repeat that process. This is how I have the structure laid out in my 21-day intermittent fasting program. I also have a 3-week workout program included in there where I split it up into body parts. So if you have that program, you can check out the workouts and use that as a good base to get started. If you haven't seen that before, I will have my 21-day intermittent fasting program linked down description below. Okay, now let's talk about the tools for sleep. One really amazing tool is to exercise earlier in the day. Exercising too late in the evening can cause cortisol levels to spike too late in the evening, which kind of goes against our circadian rhythm. We don't want cortisol levels to be high in the evening. We just want it to be high in the morning. So if you're able to, trying to have your exercise be earlier in the day can be quite helpful. The second tool for sleep is to go on an evening walk, especially if it's already dark out. Exposing your eyes to darkness and going for just even a 5 or 10 minute walk outside helps to tell our brain that it's nighttime and helps to therefore naturally produce our sleep hormone melatonin so that we can get that really high quality deep sleep. You can also try a magnesium supplement, and I talk about that in this video up here, as well as shutting off all TV, all electronics, no phone, no laptop, 60 minutes before bed. Looking into that bright screen does the opposite of telling your brain that it's nighttime. Instead, it tells your brain that it's daytime. And even if you're able to fall asleep out of sheer exhaustion, you're probably going to wake up throughout the night because your body didn't get that proper elevation of sleep hormones to get that high quality deep sleep. When you get great sleep, you're able to have a great workout the next day and have energy for that workout. You also won't have that high stress hormone level immediately starting off the day. And when you're able to work out, you're able to better tolerate stress that can happen later in the day as well, which will then lower the emotional stress response. And when you're feeling less emotionally stressed, our sleep improves too. It's very cyclical. And all of this helps with balancing out that cortisol level so that we don't get those sugar cravings that are associated with those high chronic cortisol levels. Now for part 5 of the official sugar detox series, we're going to address the last really crucial aspect of getting rid of your sugar addiction for good. So make sure you subscribe to my channel with the notification bell turned on so you don't miss when that video comes out. It's a really important one that you are not going to want to miss. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.